Okay, the reason why the tension discs are open so you can pull the thread in and out easy. But if you sew with no thread in the tension disc, okay, on the top it could look good. See, on the top it looks good, but underneath the bottom, you see that?
Yep.
Okay, that's because you're sewing with no thread in the tension. What the tension does is it keeps the tension of the thread to a certain degree or to a certain tension, which is the tension that you need to balance. You have two tensions. You have a bobbin tension and you have a needle tension. Okay, we're talking about the needle tension, but and when it's not in the tension, this is what you get. Okay, now look. Now keep in mind, look, here's the bobbin thread. Now look. The bobbin thread, you can just easily pull it out. And then once you pull out the bobbin thread, now you can just easily pull out the top thread. Okay, but the top thread, that's with no tension. So you have to have tension on the thread. So you put it through the tension disc. Okay, now I want to say a couple of things. So all the time that you sew, the presser foot has to be down. When the presser foot is down, then shit, this is fucked up. When the presser foot is down, then the tension is closed. The same way that you got that all that stuff, if you can sew, technically you could. If you can sew with the presser foot all the way up where these are open, see, look, these are open. When you raise the presser foot, now these are open, and look, you can pull the thread. Pull the thread. Pull the thread. You see how easy it pull? Mm-hmm. Could you feel the difference?
Yeah, it's tight, way tighter.
Okay, because the thread is in the tension, and the tension is regulating how much tension you have to make a balanced stitch. Okay, this tension is making a balanced stitch. Without the tension, you saw all the thread. It's way unbalanced. Yeah. Where the bobbin thread is going straight, but the needle thread is making a big old loop because there's no tension holding the thread to a certain tight so that when the bobbin and the needle, when they connect, they make that. Something like that. They hook like that. Okay? So when you sew, the presser foot has to be down. When the presser foot is down, that means that the tension discs are closed. When you raise the presser foot, maybe not this way. It's not raising it enough to open, so you got to use your knee pad. But when you use your knee lifter, then you see this is open now. You see it's open where now it's closed. The only reason I'm telling you this is because this is the secret to sewing. Okay? So now, one revolution is from 12 to 12. Okay, but to disengage the thread, you have to make the needle. Technically, the needle would disengage at around about 11:59, maybe. Like it could disengage just before 12. But, okay, but look. The reason why you turn the needle all the way to the top and start to come down is to make sure that you went all the way up. Because if you don't see the needle coming down, you could still be going up. That's why you have to go all the way up and start to come down. Once you see the needle starting to come down, then you know that you disengage the thread, because you cannot, when the presser foot is on here, you cannot see the thread working. But now the thread is working because the needle was going up. It's in the process of making the stitch. The needle and the bobbin threads are working and forming the stitch. They finish the stitch right around at 12 o'clock. That's where it finished. Now the stitch is finished. Now you're going to start another stitch. You're going to put it in. And look, it's making the stitch. All the way when the needle was going up, the needle and the bobbin thread, they're making the stitch. When they get to the top, the thread disengages and now you start another revolution. But if you don't see the needle going, now, Now, keep in mind, that's because the person foot is not on here. When the person foot is on here, you cannot see the stitch. So you have to go by, you know it looks like this. You know while it's going up, you see that thread down here? Look, it's stuck. It's working. You cannot do anything. If you try to pull out the thread right now, you're gonna break the thread. Now, when I learned how to sew, I didn't have nobody to tell me this. I figured it out. Because I kept on breaking the thread because I was pulling it out at the wrong time. And then one time I figured it out. And I go, oh, wow, that's how you got to do it. Okay, or maybe they told me, but I didn't hear it when they told me. But this is the main thing I tell black people because I already know they miss this shit. I already know, man. I see the people when they first come to the sewing class and I see the teacher and then I see who's learning and I see who's not. I see the Koreans and the Mexicans, they be really getting it. And then I see the black people, they be lollygagging or whatever, and then they be missing it. I'm just saying, man, this is what I see. Except for me, because I'm black and I be getting the motherfucker better than all the motherfuckers. But that's because I'm serious. There's a brother named Kamal Kamban. I sent you his video about exterminating white people and because that they're destroying the water. Do you remember that video? But the thing about Kamal Kamban is he said that black people are serious about not being serious. Anything with a laugh or a joke, we are first in line for that shit. But anything that's talking about something for your betterment or something that's serious, black people, man, they not serious about shit. And not being serious about politics and that kind of shit, before they used to say ignorance is bliss. Okay, but now ignorance can kill you. And especially if you ignorant about the vaccine and about the government lies and you believe in that shit, but that's another story. That's why you have to be vigilant, man. And don't believe shit. But anyway, so back to this. So this is working, but you cannot see it because the presser foot is hiding it. Okay, so you have to go back to that you know how the revolution works. And from 6 to 12, it's the bobbin thread and the needle thread are making the stitch. The stitch finishes at 12. Bam, now the stitch finishes. Okay, so about 3 things. The presser foot has to always be down, and when the presser foot is down and the thread is in the tension, because it's going to have the proper tension. The times that you can raise the presser foot when you're sewing, because when you're sewing, the presser foot has to always be down. I'm just saying technically. So when you're sewing, you can raise the presser foot from 12 to 3 to put fabric in or take fabric out. And then the other time you could raise the presser foot is at 6 o'clock when you want to pivot. Now, the reason I'm telling you this and the reason I'm saying this is because these are the things that you have to remember and you have to be able to say them. The reason why you have to be able to say it is because if you cannot say it, you cannot do it. Now, that lady, her mother, she was in there on Saturday, and I even told her, I go, so how do you disengage the thread? I go, you raise the presser foot and make the needle go all the way up and start to come. She just didn't want to repeat what I was saying. She's trying to, well, move what? Well, you move this thing and that thing? What thing? And then the needle, and then what about the needle?
And you make the needle go all the way up and start to come down.
Yeah, but she wouldn't say that. And so, and even her daughter said, he's not liking the way you say put, because you don't put the needle somewhere. You raise it, but that's neither here nor there. If you cannot say it, you're not going to be able to do it in a pinch.
The reason you have to clip twice.
Huh?
Clip clean so you don't have to clip twice.
There you go. But another thing, leave it cleaner than you found it. Put away more than you pull out. I got to get to that better. But I'm only saying these things, but if you cannot say it, then you're not going to be able to do it. That's why I force the people to say it. Because I know from experience that when I can say it, then I can do it. And that's why I learned how to say all these things. Because I know how important it is. Because when you say, okay, how do you disengage the thread? If they know that you got to raise the needle and go all the way up and start to come down, it may take them a minute or a second to think of that. But once they could think of that and they say that, then they could do it. But if they cannot think of it, they're not going to do it. I'm just telling you what I know from experience of teaching people. And I've taught a lot of people, man. None of them never learned, though. Because the thing about sewing, the problem with sewing is that people, they want to get, they want to have the instant gratification. With sewing, it's similar like making a garden. You got to put in a lot of work before you start seeing results. But if you put in the work and you're diligent and you really learn the little basic bullshit, because you do the same shit over and over, man. Look how many shirts I made. Look how many pants I made for you. Every time I make the pants, man, I make them the same fucking way. And your pants are kind of easy because they're elastic waistband. If I was doing the real waistband, it'd be harder. I mean, I could still do it. But my point is that I made you way over 12 pair of pants, right? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Every pair I made the same exact way. Every single pair. I'm just saying. Or every t-shirt that I made you, I made it the same way. Even the shirts, I haven't made that many. But anyway, so having said all that, so now look, I showed you this one thing one time, a long time ago. I'm going to show it to you again. But I'm going to show you about 3 things. Okay, let me just find a little piece of scrap fabric. Okay, so the first thing, just real quick, I'll talk about the edge stitch and then sewing at this, using this inside part as the guide. So so for the edge stitch, and this is a stay stitch. This is just to hold the fabric. Now look, I'm right there on that edge. Okay? And I just stay there. Okay, so now you finish that, and here